What's going on, Niner fam? This is Peter Lucas, and this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Football Sunday. We got another day for another Niner game, and they're playing the Chiefs today. So I wanted to come in, give you guys a quick preview of this week's game. And I mean, I know you've heard it from 20 million people already, but this is my take on everything leading up to this game. I'm really I mean, we're in week 7 now, right? And we still are wondering what we're going to see in week 7. So it's going to be a really interesting game because all of the 49er games are interesting to me because you just never know what you're going to get. And now we got Christian McCaffrey on Friday, and how now you have to think about like, what can they do? What are they going to do with him? Like, how are they going to use him? Are we going to go back to the outside zone? Are we going to use him mostly in the passing game? Like, how is this going to affect what we see on the field? And that's really what I'm here to kind of talk about today. What's going on, Damian? I appreciate you for coming in. And you are absolutely correct. I want to see points. There's just so many weapons on this team now. At this point, we were loaded already. I don't care what anybody says. We were loaded already. I know that our execution wasn't up to par last week with all the drops. But honestly, we haven't had any continuity in the game plan. There hasn't been any continuity with anything with this offense all season long. So but there absolutely are no more excuses. Because you've got say it with me. You've got Debo, you've got Kittle, you've got Ayuk, and now you've got Christian McCaffrey. Plus, you still got Juwan Jennings has been good so far this season. Like, I mean, the role players on this team have been good also. This defense has been outstanding. So why are we still wondering what's going to happen today? I keep asking myself that same question over and over and over. And Damian's right. Like you would think, and I think it shows up on the tape. We've got a guy, Kyle is able to scheme guys open like crazy. Guys are open. That's not the problem. The problem is the execution. The problem is the turnovers. The problem is the not just the turnovers, but like I said, the execution and the not just drops. Like, I mean, I guess that you would consider that execution too, but it's and then there's the penalties but I guess you can put that up to the execution also. It's just Kyle is an offensive coach. So we expect the offense to be on point, and somehow we're always depending on this defense. And I don't want to turn this into a bashing Kyle session, because that's really not. I like Kyle as a coach. I just want to make that clear. I like Kyle as a coach. We just want to see him improve, and we have all these weapons. We want to see them used. We want to see them used not just to our satisfaction, but we want to see it on the field. We want to see the points. That's the whole point of offense, is we want to see the points. You're supposed to be putting up points on the board, because this defense can definitely hold teams if you would just give them a chance to take a breath, get them off the field. Like so today, let's start with the offense, and let's start with what we could see from this offense. And really it comes down to you got Jimmy. Jimmy is what Jimmy is. I mean, there's nothing new to Jimmy. Like we all know what he's good at, that short intermediate passing game over the middle, and he's gotten a lot better at I shouldn't say he got better, but he's been throwing a lot more screens this year, which I mean Kyle's been scheming it up. And then he's also been taking a couple of shots a game, which is what we've been begging him to do for years. And in the last game, it's not that he's a world beater, but he looked better than we were used to seeing him. At least, and better isn't the word. I was thinking about this before I came in to the pod today. It's not that we think he looks better or this was the best game ever that he had. Like I heard some people say, it's that he's more versatile. He's proven some versatility in his throws that we didn't think he had. And not that he's completing those passes, but the fact that he'll throw it should give the defense some pause. So you have to be encouraged by Jimmy just opening up his versatility in his throws. And I think that's a huge it could be a huge aspect to this offense. Uh, but he's saying he can't hear me. Can you guys hear me now? Hey, Damien, if you can hear me, then let me know. But I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna check my settings real quick. Testing, testing, testing. Yeah, it says I'm good. But so okay, says I'm good. So if he says I'm good, I'm good. like the so back to the offense. So we got Jimmy. So that's a given. And now this running game, which we had kind of looked at the running game and said, look, like it's a bunch of mid. Like Jeff wasn't at one good game. He really had one good game. All the other games, he was kind of mid. And I've been preaching that this whole season is that's what he was. That's why we wanted to see those younger backs get in there, and not because that they're gonna be great. We just don't know what it is, and we want to see it. We want to see it. And that's as fans. Now, Kyle doesn't owe us anything. And if he sees something in practice that he doesn't like, I don't expect, especially with Kyle, I don't expect him to put anybody on the field that he's not seeing it in practice, even though he put Jimmy out there forever. And Jimmy's never been a good practice player. And I feel like he picks and chooses who he gives second and third chances to. But I digress. It really comes down to that he didn't give those younger guys a real proper chance in the games, and so they felt they needed to go out and get Christian McCaffrey. Now that automatically catapults our running game. It should, on paper, catapult our running game to one of the top forces in the league. I mean, that's what I'm expecting. Honestly, everybody's talking about the injury part, but who cares about he's not hurt right now. And if he's healthy right now, then we should have a top running game in the league. Period. That's what I'm expecting to see. Because this offensive line has not been bad in the run game. Now, what I'm expecting to see is no more is not as much inside zone and running CMC into walls. That's what we don't want to see. What I'm expecting to see is him to get back to the outside zone and getting the guys out of the tackle box. That's what I'm expecting to see. And really, it's a no-brainer. They could have done this with the other backs, because is Derrick Henry is he the fastest guy on the planet? No, he's not. But They still run outside zone all the time. The Titans run outside zone all the time. So why did the 49ers go away from that? It's just curious. I'm just curious. I would be curious to hear why they just completely went away from the outside zone. Um, but it is what it is. Like, once again, Kyle's not going to answer those types of questions. He's just going to tell you it's the game script, and that's how it goes. But now, with that being said, Christian McCaffrey, not only is he's actually probably more lethal in the passing game if you could use him that way. Now we have Jimmy Garoppolo. Is that going to be an issue getting Christian McCaffrey the ball because we have Jimmy Garoppolo? That we're going to have to wait and see. But it's a possibility because I think that defenses are going to be keying on that, especially watching last week and all the balls that were dropped by all of our guys. I think that they're going to be I don't expect Christian McCaffrey to have a full complement of touches today. I don't think I think they said that they were going to work him in on goal line. I mean, you never know if they're being truthful or not, but we really just have to look at it from a standpoint of, I think that anytime he's on the field, the defense is probably going to key on him, and which should, in theory, open it up for everybody else. Now, what does Kyle do with that? I don't know, because Kyle has a tendency, as I've said multiple times before, he has a tendency to let his ego get in the way. He has a tendency to zig because he thinks they're going to zag, and then they end up doing the same thing to everybody. They just end up keying on whatever he's doing. So he's not really looking too special. Now, he always gets guys open, but the execution just is not always there. And so, like, with all that being said, we don't know. Honestly, that's what it is. We don't know. But I'm just putting some things out there that we could see, because these are things that I kind of would like to see. And then you move on to the receivers, and you got Debo, you got Kittle. Kittle, the last couple of weeks they've been kind of getting him touches early, and I'd like to see that continue. But I have a feeling that I have a feeling that the game plan is going to be changed up a little bit this week, but we'll see. I would like to see Kittle get those same amount of touches. It seems like their offense does well when he gets involved early, and then they kind of just sputter out, like later on in the game when they go away from what works. Now, we look at this, and me and Twin talked about it earlier this week. The issue is the consistency. When guys get touches and then go quarters without touching the ball again, it hurts your consistency. It hurts your execution, because those guys just can't get in a rhythm. And with all these weapons, that's the problem with having all these weapons, is you feel the pressure to get all those guys involved. And I'm sure Kyle somewhat feels a little bit of pressure to do that, but I think that he just needs to pick a game plan, stick with his game plan, pick a player maybe for the whole game that he wants to get a majority of the touches to, and then just be consistent with the game plan and not go all over the place. But that's just me. And Damian was asking, is there a good backup QB that I see that's available? I don't see any. I think that the whole league is kind of struggling right now, as far as I wouldn't say the whole league is struggling offensively, but we just don't see we don't see dominant offenses besides, the Bills. I mean, I guess you could say KC, but even KC has had their execution issues this season. And I just don't see a lot of dominant offenses. And it's so I don't see anybody out there that I would say, oh, the 49ers got to go get that guy. He would be an upgrade from Jimmy. I think that for this season, it is what it is. They're not going to move off of Jimmy unless he gets hurt. The only way they're going to look for somebody else is if he gets hurt. That's the way I look at it. But so receivers, you've got, like we just spoke about Kittle, we spoke about Debo, and then you've got Ayuk, who who had a good last game also, and he just got more touches, just getting the guy involved. He's kind of shown this season that I don't think there's anybody in this league that can really just guard him one on one and lock him up. But it would matter if we had that type of quarterback that could take advantage of those mismatches. But alas, I mean, I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get too down on Jimmy, but Jimmy is not that guy. So we kind of have to stay within the framework of the offense. And yeah, and it is what it is. But unfortunately for Ayuk, he's probably going to have to wait at least another year until he becomes just a 10 target a game guy. I just don't see it for him this season. But yeah, it's that you've got with this offense, it just has such an opportunity to be so explosive, so much talent at the skill positions. And then this offensive line has not played bad. Memo to everyone. I mean, Burford is a rookie. He's been playing, honestly, he's been playing really good. And then you've got Brendel and I mean Aaron Banks. He's been lights out. And now they're supposed to get Trent Williams back today, which is should be a huge addition to this line. But I said when the season started that this offensive line was going to be a work in progress because you got a lot of young players. Banks and Burford hadn't played before. Brendel had never started. And so it was going to take some time for them to get some cohesiveness and to get some just some rhythm going. But I think that they're kind of building together now. McGlinchey with his injuries, we'll see. We'll see. But I think that they've found ways to minimize the damage that putting those backups like Jalen Moore and I mean Colton McKivitz is out, but the Jalen Moores and the other backups that the Hants who wasn't offensively terrible last week when he had to come in. So I think that Kyle that is one thing about Kyle is that he doesn't he finds ways around bad blockers. So it'll be interesting, but I don't think that this offensive line's been bad. And I'm really kind of excited for the future as far as what this offensive line is going to look like in the next couple of years. We just need to be patient and remember that we've got, as long as he doesn't get hurt, like Christian McCaffrey is going to be here for the next couple of years. And that's just how it goes. Now, Damien asks, is Kendrick Bourne better than Juwan Jennings? New England Patriots put Kendrick on the blocks. Kendrick Bourne, I liked Kendrick Bourne. I always liked Kendrick Bourne. I just thought that he was never going to get a proper shot because he's not what you would call like a supremely athletic guy that you can just go to all the time. But Kendrick Bourne was always a good receiver. He just, like I said, he can't get open all the time. He's not always going to separate. And but Juwan Jennings, for whatever reason, just finds himself open on a regular basis. And then he has that run after the catch ability, just the physical nature that I feel like that makes him a better player than Kendrick Bourne, and with way more upside than Kendrick Bourne. I like Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne will make clutch catches for you, but you're not going to run your offense through Kendrick Bourne. Not that you're going to run your offense through Jennings, but you can look at him consistently. I feel like he's a better third down option than Kendrick Bourne was. That's what Kendrick's role was. He was that third down option. And I think that Jennings has more than filled his shoes. We get excited when Jennings gets the ball in his hands, and that wasn't always necessarily the case with Kendrick Bourne. So, but I like Kendrick Bourne. Just want to say that 49er legend. But so let's move on to the defense, and I am going to make this a quicker. This is only going to be like 30, maybe 40 minutes. So I want to get into the defense a little bit because this area of the team has gotten really dinged up in the last few weeks, and it kind of it just it sucks because we talked about it at the beginning of the season or in the off season how deep this team looks, and then for all of these injuries to happen, and this is honestly this is why they built up all this depth because of their history with injuries. That's what I believe at least. And if you look at it, it's just they needed every ounce of depth that they brought onto this team, and I bet you that they wish they had some more because we thought that Jason Verrett would be back on the field by, or at least available by now. It looks like he's not really gonna. I don't think he's gonna be make it on back onto the field like this year. And that's where I'm kind of at with it. He had another setback supposedly in practice, and yeah, I just don't see it for him. It's a sad state of affairs, but I just don't see it for him. It's just too many injuries, and I just don't know if his body can take the rigors of a season anymore. So, but I know that everybody's calling for Womack and Lenore probably to hopefully Mooney Ward starts today because we still haven't heard. I was looking all over Twitter this morning. I still haven't seen anything yet about who's about him and Hafunga being able to go today. But I think we all know that Bosa's going to start, and Eric Armstead's going to be out. Kinlaw's going to be out. So Bosa starting is going to be huge for this pass rush, and that because when you pair him with the Ebacoms and the Kevin Gibbons and the Ridgeways and the Amenahus, it makes them better. It makes them better, and I just it's and of course I forgot to mention Drake Jackson, who I think is going to get better as the season goes on. Like that kid he looks outstanding, and I think that they're slowly trying to build him in to the rotation because he's not always out there on the field, but I think that every time he gets on the field, it pops, and that's really what you're looking for out of him. It's flashes for the future, but yeah, having Bosa back for this game is huge, and um, it's gonna be. Oh, you know what, Damian? I forgot to mention Ray McLeod, and I think he's gonna. I mean, we don't want to see him catching long passes. We don't want him to see him in that role. That's what Danny Gray is for. If you're gonna do that, why is Danny Gray not in there for that play? Now they might have doubled Danny Gray. Who knows? Maybe that's why he called it that way. But Ray is not that. I think he's more of your traditional slot guy, and I think that they're kind of playing him out of position when they have him run those 9 routes and slot fades all the time. It's just I don't think that's the right role for him in my estimation. But Ray is you called him the next Richie James, but you know what? They just never gave Richie James a chance. Like whenever he would get on the field, it was when everybody else was hurt. I always wondered what would happen with Richie James, and in on the Giants, I think he's shown more than he showed on the 49ers because he's just opportunity. I mean, that's how I look at it. And but back to the defense. So Bosa, Bosa, and and the guys are. I think that they are going to now. KC is not going to run the ball. They're starting. Apparently, they're starting Pacheco in this game, which is an interesting development because first off, I have Hilaire in fantasy, so I'm very upset about that development. Like because Hilaire has been really good for me this season, but and Pacheco honestly is a better inside the tackles runner than Hilaire, but so I don't see them run because Andy Reid doesn't really run the ball like that. So I'm not expecting to see a bunch of runs through between the tackles, but what are we really looking from this KC offense? We're really expecting Patrick Mahomes and for him to spread the ball around because they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. So him clearing it out for this offense is not really a factor anymore, and now he just kind of spreads it around to the what is it called, Juju and MVS, who I'm really kind of surprised they haven't gotten more involved. MVS, Hardman, and Sky Moore. That's another guy I like. I mean, I guess he's a rookie, so you can't expect them to just automatically Sky Moore is going to do this and that and whatever. They've got a lot of good to above average receivers. They don't have that guy they're just going to feed over and over and over again. So it's going to be an interesting and it might be the best possible situation for the 49ers, especially if Mooney can't go. I'm expecting Mooney to go, but oh, no borders says Danny got mad at Jimmy. That's why he went into the doghouse because of that. I mean, it's entirely possible. You know how Kyle is. He didn't like being questioned, and his ego is I've talked about it many times. And it's not that, and Damien, it's not that we expect Jimmy to throw that far to Danny Gray, but on that pass that he threw to Ray, like if that was Danny Gray in there, he probably runs under it and it's a touchdown, and he doesn't even have to stretch out like Ray did. So I get what you're saying, but Jimmy, if he identifies it early, I think he's been getting better. I keep saying better. The long passes have looked better than they have in the past when he does the occasional one. But I think it's because he's throwing more of them. And I think he's going to get more comfortable with doing that as the games progress if he keeps doing it. So I still want to see it, even if he can't make the pass. I want to see him throw it because that's what's going to loosen up the defense. But speaking of defense, we're going to get back onto the defense. And this linebacking core, I mean, is pretty much the same. You know, you got Fred Warner, who didn't have his best game last game. And it's not because of the reasons why you may think. It's not like he just played bad. No, I think they took advantage of the fact that he's a little small for a middle linebacker. And I mean, he's only like 220 pounds. And it's so he's like, when teams are able to run up the gut, like it's not a good recipe for Fred if he doesn't have those defensive linemen taking the offensive linemen off of him. So it's going to be because we saw him get dragged a couple times, but I don't think that's going to be a factor in this game. I think this is the perfect type of game for Fred Warner because it's going to be mostly passing. Them trying to pass with and use Mahomes. They're not going to be just running the ball over and over and over again. I would be shocked if that's what we saw. But it's it ought to be interesting to see what the game plan, because that's Warner's strength, that's Greenlaw's strength, is being able to cover those guys out of the backfield. And so I think that plays right into the 49ers hands. Now, where it doesn't is that secondary right now, because even if Mooney Ward plays, the other side is, ever since Emmanuel Mosley went down, we don't know who's going to play that spot. In my opinion, Womack is too small to play that outside. I know that he probably can because of his speed and he has the long arms, but in my opinion, I think it's a mistake to put him on the outside. And Lenore, I don't think has the speed to play on the outside. I think you're going to be forced to play a lot of off coverage if that's the case. I think that you put Ambry out there, and I know that's not going to be a popular take, and I know that Ambry hasn't looked good this season, and you saw that they elevated Dante Johnson, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put Dante Johnson in there, but I think that you're going to need that bigger corner out there that can run. Dante, I don't know that he has the speed. Like Ambry has speed. I think people sleep on his speed, but he just kind of takes bad angles, and he makes mistakes. He lets guys catch the ball a lot, and he's a guy that keeps things in front of him though, and he won't let go. Like he doesn't give up the huge play, so that's why I think they may go with Ambry for the whole game. Uh, I don't know. They might go with Womack or Lenore on the outside, but I don't. I think it's a mistake. I think that we saw it last game, and I don't think that it's a good. He's just too small. Like I think Womack is too small, and Lenore, as physical as it is, I just don't think he has the speed. So we'll see. But at safety, we hope that Hafunga can play. We hope he can play. Like like we still I haven't heard yet. I haven't looked at Twitter in the last since I've been on, but Demian was saying William Jackson from Washington is available, and so is what's his name? Is it Dante Jackson? I believe his name is Dante Jackson on Carolina. I was kind of hoping that they would get a corner. I know it's sacrilege to say it right now, but I was hoping they got a corner and a defensive tackle instead of McCaffrey. And I know that's sacrilege. I know that you guys are going to be yelling and screaming at me saying I'm being negative, but I thought those were the needs that the 49ers had, and that the running game, I felt like I felt Kyle was not in his bag when he was calling running plays. So, but it is what it is. I honestly, I don't know who they would go after. And but yeah, I don't know if they transition Dante to safety. Well, if Hafunga's out, then I feel that means that Odom is going to be out there, and I think we saw that for one play, and we were ready to go back. They were ready to just throw Hafunga back out there. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, but I think that Tayshaun Gibson, and I think Jimmy's going to play. Jimmy Ward's slated to play today too with the club, and so I'll be interested to see that. And he was joking that he wouldn't be able to hold as much, but Tayshaun Gibson has been really good. I think he's still the second ranked best safety in the league. Like what if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that was a possibility, I would have called you crazy. But it is what it is. And Tayshaun Gibson has earned his spot on this field. So I have no problem if they just went Jimmy Ward and Tayshaun Gibson. I think Jimmy could play that. I think he's played it in the past. He's played that kind of that closer to the box safety. And they can rotate him. That would give them the ability to rotate him. So it's entirely possible that I think that there's a lot of things in this game that we could see, that we might see. But as always with the 49ers, we don't know until right before the game. They don't tell anybody anything until right before the game. And so now we just got to wait and see. But that's what I would like to see, probably. Tayshaun Gibson. If Huff can't go, I'd like to see Tayshaun Gibson and Jimmy go out there, and Jimmy just play that more of that box safety role. But yeah, we'll see, guys. And but hey, I thank you guys for coming into the chat today. And I know that there's a really good chance that the 49ers win this game. I just think the more I think of the defensive matchups and that kind of stuff, I think that there's a really good chance that they win this game. Now, the X factor is always going to be Pat Mahomes, in which Pat Mahomes steps up. Like, I think that we get suckered into what we saw from him against the Bills and thinking, oh, well, he won't be able to do this. Quarterbacks always seem to especially a guy like Mahomes and those mobile guys, they always seem to play the 49ers tough. And without Emmanuel Mosley for the season, people don't realize how much the 49ers were depending on Mosley and Mooney Ward to play for run support. Run support is really more than the passing game. It was really about run support. Now, KC doesn't run the ball like that, but where it helps is against those mobile quarterbacks. And so I think that's where I worry is the fact that Mahomes is so mobile, not so much of his weapons or his ability as a quarterback per se, but his mobility is what I feel like is going to give the 49ers a little bit of problems. So, but I've got this game. I've got this game. I've got the 49ers winning this game. And because I'm always going to go 49ers, even though on last man standing, Beto, I know you're going to talk mess because I did pick the Chiefs. I did pick the Chiefs in that. But I'm going to be pot. That was before the Christian McCaffrey trade. That's the excuse I'm giving at least. and, uh, and now I'm calling that the 49ers win. I'm going to say to, I'm going to say 27-21. And I think it might even be closer than that. Just because I think that this defense is leaking oil at this point. It is leaking oil with all the injuries, and they're gonna score some points in my estimation. I would be shocked if they didn't. But what offense do we see? That's really what it comes down to. What offense does Kyle roll out there? Does it look different than what he's been rolling out there the last few weeks? And he's just got to get it going. He's got to get these guys executing. That's really what it comes down. He's got to motivate these guys to execute. The execution has to be there. We cannot have penalties in this game. That cannot happen. Penalties cannot happen. Turnovers cannot happen. We're going to have to hold on to the ball. Those things are non-negotiables against a KC and a Patrick Mahomes. Those things cannot happen. So if those things happen and the offense doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't give they can sustain drives and execute, not get the penalties, then the 49ers have a chance. It sounds funny to even say it. But hey, I wanted to say what's up to my boy Kelts. What's going on, brother? I appreciate you coming in. But yeah, guys, we're gonna get out of here. I want everybody to enjoy the rest of their football Sunday, their NFL Sunday, and get ready for this game that's coming on it's what is it, 1:00 for the people in Pacific. I live in Houston, so for me it's 3:00. But I know for most of the guys that watch, it's a 1:00 game. So but yeah, guys, enjoy your game today, and that's the biggest thing. And enjoy the anticipation of what we may see from this offense, because it's could absolutely unlock this offense. I want to make that sure that I'm clear with that. It absolutely, Christian McCaffrey could unlock this offense, but let's see what happens. It's got to, right, Kyle. You got to score some points, plain and simple. Figure it out. But I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a great day. Remember, you can get this. I'm on YouTube. I put the snippets on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I am on anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. Make sure you tell your friends. Make sure that you share this video or the audio version. Just share it. I don't care how you get it. Just get it. But as always, go Niners.